All right. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. And that sound means it's part of the show brought to you by the GCI guys at Realty One Group. And my man Lee Goldberg, former TV sportscaster, now wants to be on your home team. Buying, selling, trading, get this. You can save a lot of money with the GCI guys. All of our listeners get $1,000 in your hand at closing. If you're a hero, veteran, military, police, fire, teacher, or nurse, you get $2,000 back at closing. Even if you're in the hospitality or casino industry as well, $2,000 back. Give the GCI guys a call. Call Lee right now, 702-902-3029. Right now, Lee, answer his phone. Give him a buzz, 702-902-3029. Check them out at thegciguys.com. Okay, this is always a fun part of doing this show. He joined us last week, and he joins us right now on the line. We're calling him Mr. X, the Hollywood conservative, a longtime producer in Hollywood's made some great movies, and he happens to be a Trump supporter. And why don't you, Mr. X, explain to everybody once again why you're afraid to give your name out, just because you could probably give a better explanation than me. Go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. This is the voice I'm using because I don't want to disguise my voice. No, I just don't want to get blackballed, man. I mean, according to Kenny Stills, supporting Trump is actual racism. Like, you can't, according to Kenny Stills, you can't support racial justice and programs like housing for, poor black people and support Trump. You actually cannot do both of those things. The logical leap there is so fascinating.
Yeah, well, I think that's ludicrous. I'm on your side there. I don't see anything wrong if you voted for Donald Trump, if you support Donald Trump. That's fine. And listen, I hate Donald Trump, but I'm saying this because I mean it. I don't see anything wrong with that so long as you call out some rhetoric and some things that he says that are inappropriate. But we'll get to that. That's okay. So I want to start with this. So Bret Baier, the host of Special Report with Bret Baier, he's the chief political anchor there on Fox News. He's responding to Trump's statements suggesting that Fox News has changed because of the latest polls that have been out. So I want to play this audio from Bret Baier, and Mr. X, I want you to respond to it afterwards. Here's Bret Baier.
Changed. We have a news side and an opinion side. The opinion folks express their opinions. We do polls. Our latest poll had the Democratic candidates head-to-head, several of them ahead of President Trump, and this poll tracks exactly with the Real Clear Politics average of polls, even a little the other way, and this poll matches what we're seeing out there. Mr. President, we've invited you on Special Report many times. We'd love you to have you back on. You've talked to George Stephanopoulos and Chuck Todd. Come on back. Me, Chris Wallace, the news side, cover it fair, balanced, and unafraid.
All right, so there you go, Mr. X. Donald Trump attacking Fox News now because he doesn't like the poll numbers that have been out there. Bret Baier is defending his network. What do you say to that?
I mean, like you said, somebody can support Trump, but also think that a lot of the things he says are idiotic. And I mean, come on. Like, I think Trump should realize that Fox News is the only media platform that even remotely has had his back. So I don't know why he is saying anything about them. Like, I kind of feel like he just lashes out sort of off the cuff. I want to believe that there's some deeper strategy, and maybe it's the whole like Disney Fox takeover thing would be my guess, because like Disney is so unbelievably liberal, and they've obviously taken over Fox, and I know that they've kind of said publicly that Fox News isn't going to change and that it's going to remain conservative, yada, yada, yada. I doubt it. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that's behind it, but I don't know. And to be honest, I can't stand Fox News any more than I can stand CNN.
Really? Well, that's surprising to hear you say that because, listen, you're a Republican, right? You're a Trump supporter. So to hear you say that you can't stand Fox News as much as CNN, that's going a long way. I don't think a lot of Republicans would say that.
Listen, I don't like extremism on either side. I think I said last time that as much as I cannot stand the bleeding heart liberals and all this gender neutrality and all this racial injustice nonsense, I honestly think that the most dangerous people in this country are the extremely far right, the hardcore Christian, let's keep religion involved with politics people. So I don't like any of it. Like any extremism on either side.
No, I agree.
I'm surrounded by the left, so that's probably why it's in my face more often.
So let me ask you this. Let's just say hypothetically you're on a movie set. There's some famous people, and all of a sudden you just say on set loudly, having a conversation or a debate with somebody, who's a liberal, and you just say on the set what you just said to us. I can't stand Fox News as much as CNN. I think the most dangerous people in this country are the extreme far right. What do you think would happen to you?
No, they're excited. They're probably clapping and applauding me as a social justice.
You'd get a raise, right?
Yeah, probably.
You get a huge raise.
Yeah. That's what I do say on set. As soon as I show up, I say, I hate Fox News.
That's perfect.
Oh, we like this guy. You have to. What am I going to do?
So did you see any information on the movie that was coming out called The Hunt that never ended up coming out? What were your thoughts on that?
You almost just goaded me to use profanity on your show. I took a second to answer, but no, like I don't understand. Like I'm actually glad. Who was the studio behind that again? Was it Sony? I want to say, but I'm glad that they blocked the release of that. Just to remember correctly, like the subject of the film was about. It was in some way like them hunting Trump supporters.
Yeah, it was basically a political purge, more or less.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think that if you're, I feel like if you tried to release a film, it's interesting though. I'm actually torn on that issue. I'll be honest, because I don't believe in censorship in any way, shape, or form. I believe that people should have the right to go see whatever they want, and that it falls upon parents and peers to like talk sense into somebody to say, look, you can go see Taxi Driver, but don't go try to kill Ronald Reagan. Like that,
Sure.
I believe that falls on them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I am a bit torn. Like, I would never go see it, and I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's just like a sign of like the liberal nonsense and the massive hypocrisy in Hollywood. Because imagine if you made a movie about like, we're going to go hunt poor black people. Like it would honestly be. I mean, it would probably be okay because you would just be highlighting social injustice, I guess. But, like, you know what I mean? If you were doing it in any way that said that was okay or tried to condone what you were doing,
right.
I mean, you would be blackballed and probably, like, thrown in prison.
Yeah,
So
I don't disagree with that. If you're just joining us, known as Mr. X on this show, the Hollywood conservative, longtime Hollywood producer who happens to be on the right, does support Donald Trump, which is quite okay, but he talks a lot about how, listen, he's lost jobs because of his skin color. He's lost jobs, and he's developed, maybe some poor relationships with people because of his political beliefs, which, by the way, I do not condone and I disagree with. All right, let's get to a hard-hitting issue here, and that is gun control. Okay, Mr. X?
Sure.
So House Democrats plan to take up legislation to ban high-capacity ammunition magazines that have been used in these recent mass shootings. Jerry Nadler holding a hearing on the legislation September 4th, and even Dina Titus right here in Nevada, one of 3 House members who filed the Keep Americans Safe Act. So after the shooting here in Vegas, Donald Trump had a lot of tough talk, right? He wanted to immediately, he wanted to make changes in regards to meaningful background legislation, and he even said that in the days and even a week after these shootings. But then over the weekend, he appeared to soften his support, saying we already have a lot of background checks, okay? And all he talked about was mental illness. As a Trump supporter, don't you think that Donald Trump should harden up a little bit and get some things done and work with Democrats to have comprehensive background checks?
So here's my answer to this. So definitely 100% yes. And I honestly do not understand the NRA. I don't, as a right-wing supporter and a Trump supporter, I don't get the NRA. Like, it literally sounds like anything. Like, if I said, you know what, I think citizens should not be able to drive tanks, the NRA would be like, no, it's taking away our rights. I don't think citizens should be able to walk around with a bazooka. No! It's like, what is wrong with you people? Like, of course we should have background checks. Like, I think that it should be very strict who's allowed to own a gun. Now, with that said, like, that to me is just common sense. Like, there are a number of factors that I think should be looked at with regard to a person's mental health. And honestly, like, it could even be as much as, like, he's got to get, like, 3 or 4 endorsements, from neighbors or friends or something that say this person's sane and can own a gun. I'm not advocating that, but
references,
anything like that. Yeah, references. Now, with that said, do I think that even doing that or, banning automatic weapons, all that kind of thing will stop these mass shootings? No.
Let me ask you this. And by the way, I really respect your intellectual honesty. And I think if other Republicans thought like you, I got to tell you something. I think things would get done in Washington. Look, listen, there's some responsibility on some Democrats as well. That there's got to be an in the middle here, some middle ground, and like you said, some logical gun reform and background checks. That's what we need, and Republicans and Democrats need to come together to do that. What would you say about Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell has refused to take up House-passed bills strengthening background checks, let alone other bills to ban weapons or devices. I mean, he's literally done nothing but support the NRA. So what would you say to somebody like Mitch McConnell as a Republican?
I mean, there's one of two things: money or blackmail. I mean, seriously, like it's one of those two things. Like, because there's no other explanation for it. It has to just be money. Like they must be obviously massive supporters of him in some way, or giving him money under the table, because otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. When a politician goes against common sense, there's either money or blackmail. I mean, period.
Right.
It's actually extremely simple. Like, there's no reason why. Like, it's not like he's losing any personal freedoms. It's not like, it's going to have a big effect on anyone. So obviously it's purely just serving the NRA, who are insane.
Okay, so I got to ask.
And the fact that he was able to become a politician means he understands right from wrong. He's well educated.
But
I wish I could say that was a prerequisite, but yeah.
yeah.
I hear
Okay,
you.
but I got to ask you this then, and I agree with you, by the way, when it comes to Mitch McConnell, but I got to ask you about your boy Trump, too, because he met with LaPerriere, the head of the NRA. They've met on a number of occasions. It seems every single time we have one of these mass shootings, just like what happened here October 1 in Las Vegas, Trump sounds really strong on wanting to change some of the laws, rules, and regulations, and then after he meets with the NRA members, he seems to soften his stance. So what you said about Mitch McConnell, can that also be applied to Donald Trump?
Absolutely. And, I will say that, like, it's unfortunate because when there is a mass shooting, people are just reactionary. And I go on social media, and all my friends, who are liberal are like, we need to get rid of all guns. Like, there's too many guns in this country. That's the problem. I don't believe that. And I totally understand. Even Trump, I'm sure he falls victim to it, too. Like, just on a personal level, he's like, I don't want to see kids getting shot in a Walmart. Like they want to make some snap decision that's going to handle it. But my personal opinion about it, and this is not anything that could be a solution, it's not a gun issue. It's more of a mental health and a media issue, in my personal opinion.
I mean, I think you tell me if you disagree. I think there's a lot of factors that go into this. I think that mental illness is certainly a big part of this. But I also think that there's something wrong in society when you can buy an AK, an AR-15 in one state, go to another state, then buy 250 rounds of ammunition. I think there's something wrong with that. I think there are weapons of war out there that should not be used. Now, listen, JD talks about social media. JD talks about a lot of other issues, and I agree with him. I think there are a lot of issues here. I think the president's rhetoric in demonizing illegals is a part of the white supremacy issue in this country. JD, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you've said social media and a lot of other issues are factors here, right?
Yeah, I think that bullying doesn't just happen. No, back when we were in high school, we were in middle school, and when there was bullying, it just happened at school. Now the bullying happens after school. It happens on the internet. It happens through all these different social media platforms, and you have this in your face at all times. And if you're a kid, if you're an impressionable kid who doesn't come from a great situation, and you're being constantly bullied, not only at school but after school, it changes things from where it was 20 or 30 years ago. Do you agree with that?
100%. And just to respond to something else that Brian said, yeah, you're right. Should you be able to go and buy an AR-15? Should you be able to go buy an AK-47 and buy a bunch of ammo? Probably not. However, and so that this is not misinterpreted, you can go online and see how to build a bomb out of household materials.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. You can do it.
Okay, but hold on a second. Would you rather have somebody, try to plow a car into somebody, or maybe try to develop some sort of bomb, which is what they did in the Boston Marathon? Don't get me wrong, 3 people dying or 3 too many. Would you rather have that, or would you rather somebody walk in with an AK-47 and 250 rounds of ammunition?
No, you're right. And so it's sad that what we're talking about is limiting the deaths of mass killings. Like that's a pretty sad place to be.
Right.
Because again, I think that going back to what JD said, the core of the issue is social media, mental health. So it's you're right. Like if where we want to get to is like, oh, there was another mass shooting, but only 15 people died this time and not 30. Okay,
well,
great.
it's sad.
I mean,
yeah,
and okay, fine. Like from that perspective, yes. If you cannot actually go buy automatic weapons and use them, sure. So I don't disagree with that. And to be honest with you, why do you have an automatic weapon? Are you going to go shoot a herd of deer at the same time? Like, if they're all running past? I completely agree, and I don't understand remotely why civilians would need to use those unless they're planning on, like, I can see, I guess, the NRA standpoint that, like, if, you know, they're going to protect their own personal freedom, and if the government ever came to try to, you know, take them out of their home for some reason, they can protect themselves. And I completely agree with that. But I also feel like if you had a couple of revolvers, like, you could probably defend your home pretty effectively, you know, barring, like, you know, 30 SWAT members coming to your house trying to drag you out for some wrong reason, in which case you're probably screwed anyway.
Right.
So
the situations are totally, that's just not going to happen. So the Second Amendment was created in, what, 1776?
Mm-hmm.
And the most powerful destructive weapon back then was the musket?
Right.
You could kill 5 people in 5 minutes with a musket, roughly.
Exactly.
So why hasn't the Second Amendment, now where you've got AK-47s and assault rifles, et cetera, bazookas, Panther tanks, whatever, why hasn't the Second Amendment been revised to match technology with these weapons?
Of the NRA.
Exactly.
Because they're insane. And despite, no matter how right-wing I am, I will never agree with them. They're crazy.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. So let me ask you something where the majority of Republicans and Democrats agree on, and that is these red flag laws. Nevada is one of 17 states to have a red flag law on the books. The 2019 legislature passed the measure with big Democratic majorities in both the Assembly and the state Senate, and Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak signed that legislation into law. It'll go into effect in January, but that's just here in Nevada. It does appear, I hate to take Donald Trump for his word, but it does appear that Republicans and Democrats agree with these red flag laws. So why is it not getting done?
Yeah, again, like, I don't quite, that's one, like you said, that Republicans and Democrats agree on them. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't done enough research to really see who's fighting these. Like, I mean, who's campaigning against these? Like, that seems like, I mean, I guess I would say that from an optimistic perspective, that hopefully it will. Like, you know, this year has been utterly insane with how many mass killings we've had. So I assume that it should pass with flying colors at the next, whenever it comes up. I mean, that's all I can say. Like,
we would hope so.
If it goes down again, I mean, yeah, you really have to wonder, because that's not even like a gun control issue. Again, like, that's almost more of a common sense issue.
Okay, let's have a little fun here. Who's the biggest liberal left-wing nut job in Hollywood?
That's a very crowded category. One that I definitely follow in particular is Ron Perlman.
Yeah, he's aggressive.
He borders on, like, let's go and kick Donald Trump in the face. Like, he borders on, like, actually making violent threats.
That's not good.
Okay.
So I want to give you another scenario here. You walk onto a set with a bunch of liberals, and you're wearing a hat that just basically says "Make America Great Again." What happens to you?
I mean, in all honesty, like, it triggers someone, somebody starts crying, somebody needs their safe space.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you serious? You really think somebody would cry?
Oh, dude. Have you guys watched this video that I loved it was like the Communist Party of America meeting in Georgia recently? This video is pure comedy. This lady can't even finish a sentence that's talking because people are being triggered, and she accidentally says, "You guys," or something, and of course that sets off a massive, like, gender non-binary frenzy. No, but I mean, if I walked on the set, and listen, here's the thing, like, it's tricky because I'm generally the director on set, so I'm the head. But honestly, people would quit. I mean, my DP on my last film was such a massive anti-Trump guy. I mean, he came in wearing he came in wearing a shirt. You guys know the famous album from the Dead Kennedys. It was basically called Nazi Punks F Off.
Mm-hmm.
He wore a shirt that said Nazi Trumps F off, and it had a picture of Trump's face on there. That's cool. And everybody said, "Oh, it's so cool. Like, I love your shirt." So if I'm wearing a Make America Great Again, a sentiment that if anyone stops to actually think about, they want that because, well, who doesn't want America to be great again? But if I wear this hat, it's literally I am a racist pig, and that,
Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Any like-minded Democrat should not be for that. I could just picture Alyssa Milano. I just picture you walking onto a set, and then Alyssa Milano starts crying, or Gwyneth Paltrow starts crying. I can totally picture that right now.
Well, it's kind of like when Brian wore the "Make America Nasty" shirt to the AVNs last year, and about 50 people said, "Hey, man, great shirt. Screw that guy."
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But it is like people are in such a frenzy, and it's just getting worse as it comes up to the next election next year. That, like, I mean, these people are so deluded and insane about the motives behind supporting a political candidate. Like, they literally, it's like, oh, you're voting. You even looked at Trump and didn't vomit all over the floor. Well, you are a racist. I mean, like, you guys think I'm exaggerating?
No, I don't actually. Listen, you've been doing this. You've been in this business a long time, Mr. X. So I certainly take what you say as to be a lot more truthful than anything Donald Trump says these days. That's for sure. Sorry, that was my Donald Trump cheap shot. I had to do it. But hey, listen, keep up the good work, my friend. We always love having you on. We look forward to catching up with you again next week, and we hope that you're able to maintain your job, although you are a Donald Trump supporter. I don't support what some of these idiots in Hollywood are doing. So just to be clear.
I appreciate that.
All right.
You guys at the premiere of The Hunt.
All right. Sounds good.
That is so terrifying.
All right, my man. We'll catch up with you next week.
See you
Thank you
later,
so
Mr.
much.
X.
There you go. Mr. X, the Hollywood conservative, getting his perspective, longtime producer in Hollywood. Boy, he has to deal with a lot of those left-wing nutty liberals. That's for sure.
So people will cry on set.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts.
And if you don't say, screw Donald Trump, the world is over every time.
Apparently. I believe him, by the way. We're going to take a quick break. Be back right after this. The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. All right, coming up here in a few minutes, Jim Gemma from the Aviators. A couple really cool stories to talk about. By the way, this is breaking. Donald Trump, in regards to Representative Tlaib, he said, sorry, I don't buy Tlaib's tears. I have watched her violence, craziness, and most importantly, words for far too long. She hates Israel and all Jewish people. She is an anti-Semite. She and her three friends are the new face of the Democratic Party. Live with it. Donald Trump is 100% wrong. They are not the face of the Democratic Party. That is Donald Trump's, I guess that's what he wants you to think. They are freshman congresswoman. Once again, Donald Trump saying some idiotic things. In no way, shape, or form does Tlaib and Omar represent the Democratic Party. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.